2, 3, 4. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Quick Drag. Today we are reviewing episode 9 of Canada's Drag Race, and I have a very special drag artist co-host for this week. From Vancouver, BC, it's Juku.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for being here this week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Did you have an opportunity to watch the episode from last night?
Of course, it was a lot.
It was a lot. There's a lot to get into, so we'll get right into it. The top 4 enter the workroom after Lemon's elimination. They're still focused on Scarlett not having a win. Do you think that at this point in the competition, that if you don't have a win, that you can win the season?
At this point with Drag Race, we know that anything can happen. It doesn't matter how many wins you have. It all comes down to the end and how you present yourself, I feel.
I agree. With Scarlett, for example, she's been consistent all the way through. I don't think it's necessarily such a bad thing as long as you continue to show that you're growing and doing well in the competition. It's a new day in the workroom. The girls come in. Jimbo says at this point his biggest competition is Priyanka and Rita. So basically everyone but Scarlett, which I thought was a bit of a shady comment to have.
Jimbo is very shady though, as we can tell from the untucked scenes that we've seen.
It's true. Kitty's got claws. Stacy comes in the workroom to introduce the mini challenge, which is a screen test where they have to play singers doing a version of O Canada with direction from comedian Sabrina Jalise. What did you think about this mini challenge?
This is where you show how you can be funny and really make the judges laugh.
As it went on, it got, I think, more and more chaotic, and that made it really funny to me. Were there any standouts for you in that?
I love how Scarlett is not afraid to go there. That's really enjoyable to watch, but I think Rita really took it for me when she started to fall asleep. Oh, that was just hilarious.
They asked them to do it really fast, and they were all doing it really fast, and that was funny. But like, Rita was giving it like movements as well that were fast and funny, and then the falling asleep bit was just perfect. It's
like
the
icing on the cake.
Exactly, that's what I was just gonna say.
When they woke her up, she'd continue. I love that.
Rita did win the mini challenge. For the maxi challenge, they are going to be doing a ball. It is the snowball, where they have to do 3 different looks. The first being Executive Holiday Party CEO, the Icy Walk of Shame, and the Ice Queen Eleganza, which they do have to make. It's a design challenge as well as a ball.
I'm actually surprised because Canada's not afraid to make these girls work. You gotta show what you can do. It's the base of drag. You gotta know how to make stuff.
Exactly. It kind of harkens back to the early seasons of Drag Race where they really had to do the things that drag queens have to do, which is, you know, making something out of nothing and bringing that to the stage. Pri says she's not a good sewer, but she's gonna throw a whole bunch of stuff on that corset and make it look lovely. Scarlett says she has 0 sewing experience. At one point she tries to get Jimbo to help her. She couldn't understand it. I didn't think it was that hard to understand, frankly.
She couldn't do simple math. She cut it into 4 different panels, girl.
But I don't have 4 pieces. I have 1 piece. Cut it!
Yes.
But she got there eventually. Stacy comes back for the walkthrough and announces who the extra special guest host is, and it is the legend, the icon from RuPaul's Drag Race. It's Michelle Visage.
I would shit myself. I don't know if I can say that. Canadian drag queens, we've been waiting for this. Michelle is so amazing, but she's gonna tell you how it is. I think it definitely added pressure for the girl.
Oh, for sure, because they know what she likes and they know what she doesn't like, and so you have to give her what she likes. And Rita talks a little bit about how Bobo should be nervous because she doesn't sew at all. It's looking a little bit frantic for Bobo with her asking for help from Jimbo and not being able to sew and not really understanding what Jimbo's saying.
Yeah, she was about to have a mental breakdown any minute.
It comes to the next day, which is Elimination Day. They are in the workroom, and as they're doing their makeup, the girls get into a conversation about who is rooting for them at home. Priyanka says that it's her mom. Rita says it's her dad. For Bobo, it is her mom, who is her best friend. A sad story as well about her stepdad being an alcoholic and abusive towards her mother. She felt an obligation as the oldest child to protect her mother, but she couldn't really.
I think Drag Race is so beautiful in that way that we get to share our stories. These drag queens that so many people look up to get to share their stories, and people watching get to know that they're not the only ones going through this.
Each of these queens has been able to connect with the viewer viewership and people who have maybe been in those similar situations and hopefully are a guide as to how to get through those situations. And then they ask Jimbo who's rooting for them, and Jimbo says, you know, Vancouver Island, BC, Kitchener-Waterloo, London, like...
Full Canada, in classic Jimbo style.
Jimbo, I think you misunderstood the question. And then they talk about ball culture, which obviously is a big part of drag culture and gay culture. They talk about how it's a safe space for people of color, and with categories like executive realness, it's an opportunity for people of color to walk in a category or experience kind of the feeling of something that they weren't really offered in everyday life, an opportunity to be an executive.
I love how the show includes that, because not everyone watching Drag Race, especially younger kids, would know these terms and where they came from, and they're using them. So it's really good that the show is also educating at the same time.
Before they go to the runway, Jimbo is talking about how they like their looks for the runway, but they don't like the makeup they have done, but there's nothing they can really do about it because it is time to hit the runway.
You're under such a time constraint. You mess up. You just gotta go with it.
So we get to the runway, the judges come out, guest host Michelle Visage comes out.
I wish she would be there all the time. It just feels good. It feels right.
Let's get into this runway because there's lots of looks to talk about. So the first look that they are walking is the CEO Executive Holiday Party. The first out is Jimbo.
I like the shoulder pads. I like how it was an odd shape. I like that. I feel like the hair was a bit messy.
The opening of the coat to reveal lingerie inside, that seemed unnecessary. Like, I don't know why that part happened. The coat was the best part, I would say.
I'd say it wasn't the most memorable for me.
Next on the runway was Rita. What did you think about Rita's CEO look?
I like her attitude and how she delivered it. I felt like it wasn't really the category.
It didn't feel like a holiday party. It didn't really feel like a CEO. From the neck up, I loved it. I loved her makeup. I loved her hair. I loved those big pink glasses and the characterization she was doing with it. But the outfit itself was basic. Next on the runway for the CEO look was Priyanka.
I loved it. I think that was maybe my favorite. I just got who that person was, and the way she delivered it too. It just made you enjoy it even more.
It was crazy. She was dancing down the runway. That big open mouth smile was so stupid.
So funny.
It was such a great character, and she like delivered it 100%. I thought it was a great outfit. It was really fun. The last for the CEO looks was Bobo.
For once, I agree with Jeffrey that I don't really get it. I don't know how that was wintry or holiday, but it wasn't a bad look. I just didn't really get it for the category.
She definitely got the like CEO executive part of it because that fit was gorgeous. Her makeup and hair looked great. Like she looked like a CEO. But I didn't get the holiday party part of it at all. The next category was the Icy Walk of Shame. First on the runway was Jimbo.
It wasn't the best, but it wasn't horrible. I just feel like it was things she piled on.
I feel like this category is very up to interpretation. You can kind of do whatever you want with it. Overall, the whole look, I was just like, okay. It didn't excite me. I didn't think it was terrible. It was just fine.
Yeah.
The next for the Walk of Shame look was Rita.
I would have to agree with Michelle, how she thought it was very funny. She'd buy a ticket to that show, but was it Canada's Drag Race? I don't know.
I think if she had done some things to exaggerate it in a really drag way, like if she had tailored it within an inch of its life to be like super tapered and then big hips or something like that, I don't know. But as it was, the performance was great and very funny.
Oh,
the outfit didn't do anything, and that's hard at this point in the competition. The next Walk of Shame was Priyanka.
I love Priyanka's look. I know that girl, and I feel like we all know that girl. She sold it so well. I love like the Canada flag in the middle. Oh, it was just perfect to me.
Like you said, we know that girl. We've been that girl.
We are all that girl.
We are all that girl. Exactly. And the last one for the Walk of Shame was Scarlet Bobo.
I actually really liked it. Yeah, it was a bodysuit, but I felt like the accessories on top of the icicles, the little fur on her ankles. She looked gorgeous. The hair was gorgeous. It was definitely beautiful.
It was a bodysuit that was made interesting. Those icicles, the way they moved, that was really new and kind of different, and I liked that about it. She was definitely delivering on the theme, or the prompt, I would say. And then the last looks for all the girls was the Ice Queen Eleganza. First up was Jimbo.
Overall, the look was okay, but there was just a lot of messy bits.
The inside of the dress was lined with a different color. You're doing things that other people aren't doing. And the construction of the gown was really cool and fit her very well. The headpiece was kind of all over the place. I think that affected maybe her performance on the runway as well. Next on the runway for the Ice Queen Eleganza was Rita.
I really liked Rita's look, how she made the dress and the top looked really intricate. I kind of disagree with the judges how they said she couldn't walk in it. I felt like it was a look, it was a serve.
I thought it was cool. The headpiece was incredible. The way she incorporated like the crystallized snowy bits into the lace over her eyes looked really incredible. That piece in the front was really amazing as well. I thought it was a really good look overall.
I was just gonna say about the padding critique. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like padding is very subjective in drag, but I get what the judges are getting at.
What was really interesting is when they went to untuck and they were talking over it, just the judges, Michelle talked about padding, but talked about it in a way that I think is necessary because a lot of the judges are harping on, we need to show more body shape. And I like that Michelle was like, padding isn't necessary. Can it do something to create a more feminized shape? Absolutely. But it's really kind of up to anybody at this point whether or not they want to or if that's the look they're going for. There's plenty of other ways to demonstrate femininity or demonstrate drag or do drag.
Yeah, exactly. Hourglass is not the only shape everyone wants to go for.
Next on the runway was Priyanka with her Ice Queen Eleganza.
I actually didn't hate it. At least it was a pretty corset. How the paper skirt caught on her heel, that kind of like presented it not as great. Overall, it wasn't the worst, but Michelle hates corsets, so what can you do?
I also kind of get it from her perspective in that some people made incredible garments and you stuck stuff on something that already existed. But I thought it looked good as well. The paper didn't move very well. It was kind of looking stiff.
Would you rather her not have the skirt at all?
Of course not. No, absolutely. I think she needed something there. And last on the runway for the Ice Queen Eleganza was Scarlett. What did you think about Scarlett's Ice Queen look?
Wow, I was wowed. I didn't really know what to expect because she was struggling so much. Everything put together just looked really good.
I think maybe it didn't excite me because it wasn't what you expect from Eleganza necessarily. But I thought she did a great job and it looked really great.
She sold it really well and it was really Bobo still.
Definitely, yeah, it was totally Bobo. It was in her style and I think that's what made it work. We move on to the critiques with the judges. For Jimbo, they say for the CEO look, the CEO of what? A brothel? And for the Ice Queen, they thought she was a bit awkward with her walk and holding her headpiece most of the time. With Rita, with the CEO look, they loved her character and energy, but they thought the look was too simple. With the Walk of Shame, they thought that it was performance art, essentially, but maybe not right for Drag Race. And for the third look, they thought that she couldn't walk in it and that they could see the back of the build out. For Priyanka, they said that for her CEO look, that it was jokes, it was hysterical, the look was absolutely holiday. For the Walk of Shame, that she was still drunk, she was going home, but she was making it fashion. And that for her Ice Queen Eleganza, it was a bodysuit with shit on it, and she kept stepping on her paper skirt. And finally for Scarlett, the critiques were that for the CEO look, the full suit was well made. Jeffrey did mention that he didn't really get holiday from it, but they loved the look. For her Walk of Shame look, the bodysuit, it was just a bodysuit, but they said the body was right, the proportions were really great, and that it looked like more than a boring bodysuit. For Scarlett's Ice Queen Eleganza look, that it was glamour, it was punk rock, Eleganza, but in a Bobo style. Then they asked each queen to give advice to younger them. This is always a bit of a gag.
As drag queens, we come a long way to get here, and to be this confident, it's nice to see the vulnerability.
There is sort of a shared experience, I think, between many people under the LGBTQIA umbrella who have experienced some of this similar stuff and have those scars themselves. The girls go backstage to untuck. They move on to talk about Scarlett, saying that she seemed to get the best critiques and that she might win this week, but she doesn't want to get her hopes up, which I think is probably pretty smart.
I think that's fair because Scarlett has gotten really cloaked a few times and gotten her hopes up, so I feel like it's smart of her.
Totally. Also, Priyanka is drunk.
Oh my god, her sipping on the two glasses. She's just a good time.
She's a good time gal. She's real fun. And the producers tell her that they're cutting her off.
I love that they included that too.
As we move back to the runway, we get some answers, and the winner of this week's challenge is finally, Scarlet Bobo. Congrats,
Yeah.
Scarlet.
All her looks were done well, and what a better time than right before the top 3 to win. She was the only one who didn't have a look where it was not good. Everyone else had 1 or 2 looks.
Priyanka is safe, and our bottom 2 are Jimbo and Rita. Prior to tonight, they were asked to prepare a lip sync to Tegan and Sarah Closer. What did you think about the lip sync?
The whole time I was wanting Jimbo to take the headpiece off.
Do something that allows you to deliver your best.
Holding it kind of restrained her from delivering, so it was kind of sad to see that.
I was hoping, because neither of them could walk, that one of them at least was going to either cut up their dress or rip it off or do something to allow them to be able to move. And Rita did that in the second verse. She cut off that dress, cut it off, and do what you can. And I think that was the big difference in terms of showing how committed you were to being in it.
Rita is a really good lip syncer. I feel she delivers and emotes really well. It was the first time seeing Jimbo, and I think Jimbo did well too, despite headpiece.
The winner of the lip sync is Rita Baga. She gets the Shantae You Stay, and so that means for Jimbo it's Sashay Away. And as she heads out, she goes to her knees, screams, and face plants on the runway.
I love Jimbo and the way they present themselves. I just think that was perfect. I love it.
Jimbo's one of the people on the series that not a lot of people knew coming in, who didn't have a big following coming in, and is now beloved by Canada and the world. It's amazing to see how the world loves Jimbo.
We're definitely going to see a lot more Jimbo, and I'm so excited about that.
Absolutely. This is definitely not the end for Jimbo, but it is the end of this episode. Be sure to stay tuned on Wednesday when we will have a profile and performance from our guest drag artist co-host, Juku. Thanks so much for watching Quick Drag. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the subscribe button over there, click on the social media links in the description below, and be sure to come back on Wednesday when we have a profile and performance from our drag artist co-host, Juku.